Hello students, hope all of you are having a good day. So today let us start a new chapter in social science, that is chapter 4 Western Desert. Okay, so in this chapter you will be learning about a desert that is present in our country India. Okay, so let us see what all you have to learn in chapter 4 of social science. So let us begin the chapter. And in this video you will be learning about the desert, how that desert is. Then you will also learn about the land, climate and the type of vegetation that you see in this desert. So let us learn about this Western Desert. So students, I hope you all will be familiar with the term desert, isn't it? What do you mean by a desert? You all know that desert is a land which is very dry and it is a land where the water is very less. So it is a dry land which is hot and where you won't find water. Such a land is called desert. Okay, so in this chapter you have to learn about the Western Desert. And this Western Desert is also known as the Thar Desert, and it is present in our country and it is in the state called Rajasthan. This desert is present in the state of Rajasthan. Most part of this desert is situated in Rajasthan, and the desert is having the name Western because it lies towards the western region of Rajasthan and it is lying towards a mountain range known as the Aravalli mountain range. Okay, so just remember the Great Indian Desert is also known as the Thar Desert. So now let us see a map to understand more about this desert. So I hope you all can see this map. I hope all of you could see this map. And I told you this is the state Rajasthan. Okay, and this desert is found in Rajasthan, and that desert is known as the Thar Desert. And this Thar Desert lies towards the western region. Okay, it is lying towards the western region of a mountain range called the Aravalli Mountains or the Aravalli Hills. Okay, Aravalli Hills is actually a chain of mountain that is present in Rajasthan. If you look at Rajasthan, you can find a chain of mountains. Okay, that the marker that I have shown is the Aravalli range. Okay, it is actually nothing but a chain of mountains that you see in Rajasthan. Actually, this Aravalli mountain range divides this Rajasthan into two parts. Okay, this Aravalli range divides Rajasthan into a western part and an eastern part, to a western region and to an eastern region. So there is Aravalli mountain ranges or the Aravalli hills, and this is dividing Rajasthan to the western and eastern region. And this western region is usually very dry and the eastern part of this Rajasthan is actually fertile. It is fertile because of the presence of a river. So the Aravalli range is dividing Rajasthan into two regions, an eastern and western region, and towards the west of this Aravalli range you can find the Thar Desert. And Thar Desert, it stretches from a region called or a place called Rann of Kutch in Gujarat. Here you can see Rann of Kutch in Gujarat, and it extends till the borders of Haryana. From the Rann of Kutch, it passes through Rajasthan and it reaches till the borders of Haryana. That is where the Thar Desert in our country is situated. Okay, so what all you have learned? So, you know that most of this Thar Desert is situated in Rajasthan. Okay, and it is lying towards the west of a range called or a hill called the Aravalli Hills, west of the Aravalli range. It lies towards the west of the Aravalli range and it extends from a place called Rann of Kutch. Rann of Kutch, it is situated in Gujarat. It is situated in Gujarat. Rann of Kutch in Gujarat. And it passes through Rajasthan. Okay, it passes through Rajasthan and reaches the borders of the state Haryana. Okay, so it extends from Rann of Kutch in Gujarat, passes through Rajasthan till the borders of Haryana. So it stretches from Gujarat to Rajasthan till Haryana. Okay, and most of the desert, most part of the desert is situated in Rajasthan. That's why it is said as it is said that the Thar Desert is situated in Rajasthan. Okay, so the desert has 3 names. It is one of the biggest desert in India. So because of that it is called the Great Indian Desert, or it is also called the Thar Desert, or else you can also call it as the Western Desert, or else you can also call it as the Western Desert, because it is lying towards the west of the Aravalli range. Okay, so just as I told you, here in Rajasthan you can find the Aravalli range. Aravalli range is nothing but it is a chain of mountains that is situated in Rajasthan. And this chain of mountains is one of the oldest mountains, okay, oldest hill ranges, and they divides this Rajasthan into a western and eastern part. And the western region is the Thar Desert. It is dry, and in Thar Desert the land is very sandy and rocky. You can find 2 regions in Thar Desert, a sandy and as well as a rocky region, and it is very dry without presence of much water. Okay, so I hope you all have understood this. Now let us learn about the land in Rajasthan. Sorry, the land in Thar Desert. Okay, how is the land of the Western Desert? Usually the land of Western Desert is covered by a thick sheet of sand. Okay, that means the ground or the land is covered by a thick layer or a thick sheet of sand. Along with that, this sand is very loose. Okay, thick sheet of sand that is very loose. Loose means without any water. Okay, and there are also sand dunes. There are also sand dunes. Sand dunes are small hillocks or small hill-like areas that are created by sand. Okay, so if you look at this picture, here I have shown the picture of sand dunes. I have shown the picture of sand dunes. All these are sand dunes. It looks like small hills. And do you know how it is formed? I told that the sand is very loose, isn't it? So when strong wind blows over this desert, the loose sand will be taken from one place to another. It will be taken and deposited from one place to another place. So because of this sandstorm that will create small heaps or small hills of sand called as the sand dunes. Okay, small hills of sand called as the sand dunes. It is created by or it is made by strong winds that blow, and this winds will take this sand and deposit or place it to some other places. Okay, so this sand dunes also keep shifting. Shifting means it changes from one place to another when this when this wind blows. Okay, so that is sand dunes. Then in this desert, you also will not find any stream in the desert. Streams means small patches of water that flows. Okay, just like a small, very tiny river. And usually the streams are less. At the same time, most streams will remain dry throughout the year. Okay, because why? Because this region doesn't have rainfall. The rainfall is very less in this region, and most of the streams remain dry. But there is a river called as Luni. Okay, there is a river called as Luni in this desert. Okay, it is one of the major river in the Thar Desert. Okay, Luni is one of the major river that you find in Thar Desert. But throughout the year, Luni river also remains dry because the climate is very hot. I told you in the beginning itself. Okay, the climate is very hot. Because of that, this Luni river also tends to dry up during most of the time of year. Okay. Then in this Thar Desert, you will also find oasis. Oasis. Okay. Oasis is actually created or made by an underground water body. If there is presence of water underground, below the ground, sometimes it has the property to seep towards the upper surface. Seep means it will rise towards the upper surface in some cases. Okay, that will create an oasis. That will make an oasis. As a result, what will happen if there is water? If there is presence of water, the same time what will happen? Plants love water, isn't it? So, plants will grow around this water body. So, you can say that oasis is a lush green area that you find in a desert. See, this is the picture of oasis. So, what is oasis? Just as you see in the picture, there is a water body or a water source. Around this water source, you can find vegetation. Vegetation means plants. Around this water source, you can find vegetation. So, oasis can be described as, what can you describe oasis? Oasis is a lush green area. Lush green area means it is an area that is having a lot of vegetation or that has plants. Okay, area that have a lot of plants. Lush green area surrounding a water source, in a desert. That is called oasis. That means it is an area where there is a lot of plants and it surrounds what? It surrounds a water source. That is called oasis. Okay. So, if there is water, what is the benefit of having such oasis? So, when there is oasis, when there is such lush green area, most of the villages in Rajasthan are situated near this oasis. Okay, most of the villages in Rajasthan or most of the population in Rajasthan are seen near to the oasis because there they will get plenty of water. Sorry, not plenty of water, they will get water for their use, and at the same time they can do farming. They can do farming, whether if it is rearing animals, if they are growing plants, or if they are rearing animals, they can do farming also, as there is a water source like oasis. Okay, so most of the villages will be seen near to an oasis. So what all you can see in the land? Okay, the land is actually covered with a thick sheet of loose sand. And in the land, you also find sand dunes. Sand dunes are nothing, they are small hills of sand that are caused by the deposition of sand. Okay, and this sand is deposited when strong winds blow. Okay, and sand dunes also shift from one place to another. And you won't find any streams in this Rajasthan. The streams are very less, but even if there are streams, most of the streams will be dry throughout the year. And there is one important river called Luni in the Thar Desert. Okay, the name of that important river is Luni. And you can also find oasis. Oasis is a lush green area surrounding a water source. That means it is a area where you will find a lot of plants. Okay, plants or bushes. Okay, and it will be surrounding a water source. And most of the settlement or people live near to the oasis. That means the villages in the Thar Desert will be located near to the oasis. Okay, most of the villages in the Thar Desert will be located near the oasis, as there is water, so that they can do farm. So I hope this section is clear. So next let us learn about the climate of Rajasthan. The climate of Thar Desert. The climate in Thar Desert is very hot and dry. Okay, the climate is hot and dry. You know that it is a desert, isn't it? So obviously the climate will be a hot climate. And usually in summer the days are hot. Okay, in summer the days are hot and nights are usually cold. And in winter the days are warm and nights are very cold. Okay, and most of the year the days remain hot in Thar Desert or the Western Desert. So the climate is dry and a hot climate, and the rainfall is also less. Okay, as the rainfall is less, obviously because of that the climate of that region will be a hot and dry climate. Okay. Then let us learn about the vegetation or the plants that are seen in this Thar Desert or the Western Desert. What kind of plants can you see in the Thar Desert? Okay. So about the natural, you are going to learn about the natural vegetation. I told you that rainfall is less, isn't it? Because of that, most of the plants will have thorns. Okay, they will have some adaptation to save water. Okay, and usually the type of plants that you see is, you can see trees as well as shrubs. At the same time, you can also find small dry grasses also, but the main ones are bushes, and thorny shrubs. Okay, bushes and thorny shrubs. Thorny shrubs means small plants that have spines or thorns over them, pointed thorns over them. Okay, and most of the bushes that you see in this Thar Desert will remain scattered at one place to another. See, here you can see thorny shrubs, okay, like the cactus, okay, thorny shrubs, and there are also bushes. Okay, all the bushes usually remain scattered here and there. Okay, it will be scattered here and there. And along with these plants, along with this kind of plants, you can find trees. Trees like kejri, babul and kikar. Okay, these are the three types, most common type of trees that you see in the Western Desert. Okay, that is the kejri, babul and the kikar. It is a common type of trees that you can find in Thar Desert. Then along with the trees there should also be animals, isn't it? So in desert, can you name an animal that is common in desert or people use the most in desert? Yes, very good, camels, isn't it? So you can find animals like camel. Okay, you can find animals like camel, and you can also find animals like black buck. Black buck, this is the picture of black buck. Then chinkaras, okay, it is also an animal. Then you will also find birds like great Indian bustard. Okay, you will find birds like great Indian bustard. And this camel is considered as the most useful animal in the desert. Can any of you say why? Why? Because camel can live for a long time without food and water. Okay, it can live for a long time without food and water. At the same time, the village people of Rajasthan travel over this camel. They will travel on this camel because for this camel, for these animals, I mean for this camel, it is easy to walk over the loose sand. Okay, because its feet is padded. Its padded feet help the camels to move firmly on the loose sand. At the same time, as their legs are longer, they have long legs. Okay, so that long legs will keep the camel's body away from the hot sand that is present below. Okay, so because of that, camels are considered as the useful animal, as the most useful animal in the desert, because it is easy to maintain them also. It doesn't require much water or food. It can survive for a long time without water and food. So children, I will just conclude whatever I have taught in this section of the chapter. So in this section you learned about the Western Desert, and in that you have learned that the Western Desert is also called the Thar Desert or the Great Indian Desert. Why? Because the Western Desert is lying towards the western part of the Aravalli range, and most of this desert lies in Rajasthan. So it is said that the desert is present in Rajasthan, but its region ranges from Rann of Kutch in Gujarat until the borders of Haryana. Major portion passes through the Rajasthan and then till the borders of Haryana. Okay, then the land in the desert is sandy and rocky. Then you can find sand dunes as well as oases in the desert. Near the oases you can find villages, because most of the people settle around the water source. Okay. Then about the climate of the region. Climate is very hot and dry climate, as there is very less rainfall. Then you can find vegetation such as bushes which are scattered everywhere. You will also find trees. Okay, thorny shrubs and trees like kejri, babul and kikar. And you will also find animals like camel, the great Indian bustard, chinkaras and the black buck. Those are the common animals that you see in the desert. Okay. So I hope this section is clear for you all. So thank you children.